Right then, have we managed that? Okay. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure some angles because I want to really make sure that I've bisected that angle properly. Okay. Now, my diagram looks a little bit untidy. The circles are a bit small and it's a little bit untidy, but what I really only want to look at is the angle that's going on in here and the angle that's going on in there. So I'm going to get rid of my circles just for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to select each of my 3 circles. Notice they all go black, so I know I've got them selected. And I'm going to get them hidden. So it's under the object menu again. Let's just hide them. Now I want to measure the angles. I want to make sure, or prove almost to my students, that I have actually bisected it and they are the same. Now remember, I'm in advanced mode, so automatically in advanced it's going to measure in radians. And if you're doing this for GCSE, which it is a GCSE topic, a lower school topic, you don't want radians, you don't want to confuse, and it says 1.44 or something. So if we just make sure it's switched over into degrees, it's going to give them something nice to look at rather than radians. Now, when you measure angles, you know, it'd be nice to have some letters on there, wouldn't it? So instead of saying and whittling it over and saying, I want this angle here and so on, I'd much rather have some letters so I could say, what's the angle ABC or CDE or something? So I'm going to start putting a few letters on. Okay? So I'm going to label up a few of these points. So I'm going to start with this one up here. So I'm going to select it. And instead of using the scribble tool and writing an A at the side of that, I want to make it look a bit fancier. I want to put a proper label on it. So there's a text box that you can put up. Okay? Now again, if you just flick over the top here, that one there, with the A in it, is a text box. You can access that button through the object menu. So if you're much happier just pressing right click all the time, you can get hold of text box that way. So you can either get it from the toolbar there, or you can just right click it and you can find text box in the object menu. Okay, which I tend to always go that way rather than through the toolbar. Right, now what that's brought up is this edit text box. So in here, it will put on your screen anything you happen to like and want to write in there. But if you notice on your screen, there's the thing here in red. Now anything in red, you can't alter. It's set up by autograph. That is that particular coordinate. But if you want to overwrite that, I don't want it to say 1.12. I just want it to say A. You can overwrite it by saying convert to static text, and that will just turn everything back into normal text, which you can then get hold of and you can delete it. Okay? So I'm going to turn that into an A. So I'm just going to stick an A on top of there. Probably better with a capital really, isn't it? Let's turn that into a capital. Okay? And if you just press OK, there it is. So I put a point on that. And then I can do that with all the others, so I'll have a B over here. So again, text box again. Convert to static text gets rid of all the red writing. I can overwrite all of that, and I can have a B. Whoops, go back there, okay. And the same with the third one, I'll have a C on that one. Text box there, overwrite it. C, come back, okay. Right, now if you end up doing something where they're in the wrong place, they're going to be untidy, they're just totally in the wrong place, and you know, at the moment these things are attached to the point. I can get up and move it, it's like over there and so on, but I can't really drag it out of the way because it's attached to the point. I could move it to a point, say up here, and get hold of the little icon there and make it point to it. That might be useful, that might make it look a bit prettier, but if I don't want that, remember, double click will bring you back to the edit box, and then you can start changing things. Down here it says anchor to point. If I uncheck that and press OK, I can now move that wherever I want. I can move it out of the way, which is useful if you're putting a text box on a graph or something and you want the equation, but you don't want it to be too near the equation. Like I said, we've got all these points labelled up now. Right, I want to measure an angle. I want to make sure that my angle's okay. But I need that point perhaps measuring, that point identifying as well. I I don't want that point, that's a bit too close, a bit too untidy there. So I'm going to put another point on, a little bit further on down this line. So if I get hold of point mode again, come somewhere else on the line, perhaps down here maybe, the black arrow says I can attach to that object, click on it, and I can put another point on. So I'm going to call that one D. So again, get rid of that, and we'll call it D. There we go. Shut that down. Right, so I'm now set up to put angles on. Now the way AutoGraph actually measures angles is you have to measure it anti-clockwise. Okay? So you have to select your points that you want the angle in an anti-clockwise manner. So if I want this particular angle here, I'm going to go select D, then I'm going to select B, then I'm going to select A. And I'm going to come for the object menu and say, calculate the angle for me, please. Now if you notice down here it said angle bisector, so you could have saved yourself the bother and it would have done it for you. But then that's not what we're doing. We're doing loci. You know, we don't want it to just automatically appear. We want to construct it. So when I press angle, there it is. There's the everything I can do with angles box. And again, I can allow reflex angle. I can allow nice reflexes, but I don't need that in this instance. I can make the angle a little bit bigger. 8's not too bad. I could put a label on it to say what the size of the angle is, but there we go, 21.3. That was the size of the angle. Right, deselect everything again, come back C, B, D, and I'll have the angle again. Okay, look, they're both 21.3. Okay, so it's just a way of showing it. I could get hold of that point and it's doing them for me there. Okay, now I'd much rather it say 29, yeah, or even just down to 1 decimal place. That's way too accurate. So let's get it down to say let's get it down to the second significant figure perhaps. Again, this is on the wish list. It won't do decimal places, it will do it to the nearest significant figure. So we're back to view preferences. So it's view, preferences, and we are under general. And in general we have the options. So where we put the no shift for multiple select on, we've got the accuracy to 4 sig figs. If we bring it down to 2, that's going to give me nice whole numbers. So okay, now I get 29 degrees. Be careful, because if you go over into the hundreds, it's going to go 100, 110, 120. You're not going to get it any better. You're going to have to be in 3 sig figs. Okay, so just be careful if you are going to use that on angles. Make sure you're always below 100.